Welcome back to another episode of Pain and Green Podcast.
Heyo.
Tonight we're going to be talking about Florida Multigun.
Yes.
We just got home actually a couple days ago.
He's been on his deathbed, dying. He got the crud.
Yeah, apparently every time I go to Florida, the water tastes like dew and
alligators. If you're in Florida and you know where the alligators are, please let me know. I didn't see any.
It was, I will say, Tina's better judgment to not hit sushi before we hit the road leaving Florida.
I wanted pizza. He wanted sushi.
Yeah, that might have done it, but we're all better now. We're home. So we want to do a little breakdown for Florida Multigun. Was our first major of the year.
2025.
Obviously you've done several major matches, shot a bunch of different clubs, and now you're starting to see stuff that I've been telling you, like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Stuff you may not have paid attention to as an absolute new shooter just because you were...
Goldfish.
You're so focused on other things, right?
Everything, yeah.
Florida was actually a pretty fun match. I think it was a couple $100, $175, $200 something.
$175. I couldn't find on my credit card. I have a really bad habit of just take my money.
And my understanding is the club runs pretty standard or regular monthly matches, but this is their first major match of the club. Mm-hmm. I had a couple of guys that we run into down there that I've shot with over the years that were working the event and doing different things. So I know they have some experienced shooters down there, but definitely was their first major match as a club. And I think it showed a little bit. So
yeah.
Let's start. We made the road trip. It was an 18-hour drive.
It was a rough drive.
Which I think when we first started traveling, anything over 8 hours, you were trying to get a hotel room.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to do this every weekend, so it's going to be a lot of hotel rooms.
Yeah. We swung in and saw your parents, and I was a zombie.
So note, when we travel out of town, my shooting partner, Jay, has this rule that if there's food in his hometown, we will not eat it on the road. And we should have listened on this trip because my dad wanted to go get Mexican food in Pensacola, Florida.
Oh, it's terrible.
And it just shredded my heart.
It was the worst. Mexican food. Taco Hell is even better, I think.
We did say at dinner, my dad was laughing because my mom's on the same page I am, where we just kind of point at the menu somewhere. We'll bring something, we'll eat it, and there's another meal 3-4 hours later, so it's not a big deal. But made the road trip, got to see mom and dad, made it into the match, rolled in.
Straight to the range. We didn't.
Oh, we stopped and got breakfast first.
Yeah, this great place. I wish I remember the name of it and give you guys a little shout out.
But rolled in first thing in the morning. I think they published that the range was going to be open around 7:30 for us to start walking stages and do stuff. And for those of you that haven't gone to a major match before, one of the things you always want to do is check in, see the range, walk stages, start figuring out your game plans Friday or the Thursday if it's a 3-day match, but before you actually go to shoot, because game day you have 5 minutes to look at a stage. Yeah,
and if you're like me, I think everyone who knows me, I can't really remember a lot of stuff, or once I throw a stress factor in there, everything crumbles. So I depend heavily on the day prior walkthroughs with these matches and get as familiar as possible as I can get involved with to include
stage briefs, finding where the targets are. And the first complaint of the match that we had was there was no stage briefs. Yeah. I know they were trying to get them published and get them up. I know the staff was still shooting Friday. Mm-hmm. So we were able to kind of walk on the 7 stages and for the most part figure out where things were. Like we saw an all shotgun stage, we could see where most of the targets there were some aerial targets that they ended up not using in the match and some other things, but you can pretty much see everything on the range, but it's not its 100% final version because the staff is still shooting. They might change some stuff. That's why they don't usually publish the final stages. So it's a little frustrating that we didn't know exactly what we were doing, but you get a general understanding of it.
I think we actually got to the range. It was almost like noon, or
it was about 10:30.
I think it was later.
10:30 or 11, something like that.
Yeah.
But looking at the stages, we spent all afternoon there, waited for some of the staff to finish shooting a few stages. You know, it's nice to watch somebody actually shoot the stage, even though staff shooters they have their own chaos going on, so it's not always going to be the clearest stage plan. Mm-hmm. Might not be the best option, but you get to see certain things. And then we showed up bright and early Saturday morning to get ready to shoot.
Check-in. So check-in, it was a little weird. Check-in or registration was the day of the match.
Oh, that's right. Morning check-in.
In the morning check-in. And, I mean, it was cool not having to get up at like 5 in the morning because I don't think there was 8:30 we had to be there to check in and do the brief.
I think they had a pretty late start time as far as what the club, the private range that we were on would allow, or public range, whatever it was, what time we could shoot. So it was, I think, 8:30 to 4:30 was where they could be hot.
Right, because they went cold at 4:30.
Yeah. And that gave us a little bit, time to wake up and stretch and, hit the morning Porta Johns. And and so brings up point number 2. We've been spoiled at other events, right? Yeah. And obviously going to all these gun ranges, they're usually out in the middle of nowhere, and they're not going to have a Taj Mahal of a bathroom. Mm-hmm. But when you're going to have 100, 200, 300, 400 people, in this case, I think there was 100 plus 150 people. Yeah. You're still going to need places for them to go to the bathroom. Yeah. And the porta potties were just
already almost full on Friday when we got there.
Yeah, and it's always rough when you're like, especially you where you go to the bathroom every 8.5 seconds or something like that. So can't just walk off in the bushes like I do.
Then I have to take all the whole belt off, and it's just a bigger process for me.
So definitely going places where, hey, do they have doesn't matter how fun the match is if I'm like doing the pee-pee dance all day.
I mean, but the highlight of the porta potty, it was one of the big ones. So it's like you can do this while you're in the bathroom if you need to.
Yeah, they're all large size to you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but.
And so we started the morning off, and usually first stage at a major match, I will start off with about an 85 to 90% cadence. I'm telling myself that I'm going to run the stage where I don't have any hiccups. Don't run too fast. Don't do anything stupid. I was a little jittery in the morning, just morning shakes kind of thing. Not really nerves or anything, but there were a couple of no-shoot targets. It was a full USPSA target that was a no-shoot with a smaller rifle target on it. And I ended up tagging a no-shoot on both of those, actually, to start the match. 2 no-shoots right out the gate. That was a little frustrating, but, I mean, it was a target that I shot at speed, so I'm not too surprised. But, I mean, literally just on the edge of the no-shoot. But then they start looking where I was counting my rounds and figuring out where I stuttered on the stage, and there was a steel target in the corner. And I shot it, knew I'd probably put a glancing shot on it, so then I hard paused on the target, deliberately aim at it, mod choke shotgun, shoot it again, it just wiggles at me, double tap it, it wiggles some more, and then another double, and it finally went over. So 7 shots for a shotgun target. And the first one I will accept that was probably not a great shot, right? I was transitioning. And so as I come off the stage, you're getting ready to go.
Did we have someone between us?
We had
Brian.
Yeah, we had a shooter between us. Yeah. They were nice to us.
Nice enough to do that. Yeah, because sometimes we share gear, and then sometimes it's just last minute. Like, hey, I forgot this. I need this, and so it's helpful when people are willing to just give us a shooter in between us.
So as soon as I come off the stage, not only are we swapping camera equipment and helping pick up each other's mags, but it's immediately. If there was something, because Tina and I run the same plan for everything, usually you and a shooting partner will do that. And so I'm immediately pointing out things that were an issue for me on the stage and repeating that to Tina. So, hey, this target over in the corner is a tough target. And it ended up being another tough target for, I think you had an extra. You might have actually.
I don't think I had an extra shot. I messed up my sequence with the shotgun. Because I was on my toes through the window with that pistol, but I don't think I had a problem with that.
But that same target, a couple other shooters, guys with tube guns couldn't put over. We were shooting with a very nice gentleman from Puerto Rico. Same thing, like could not get the target over, and it was, he's spot checking with me like, hey, are these targets normally this heavy? And I'm like, well, I'm new here. But we went and looked at the target as we were resetting, and it was set forward at a pretty heavy angle, and it was a thicker plate, like a very heavy popper. It wasn't a normal 1/4 inch or whatever, but it was a very heavy set target. And I checked with the staff on the stage. I said, hey, do you guys calibrate targets or anything? And the staff on there, they're very polite, but they were just like, everybody knocks it over. I'm like, okay. And that seemed to kind of be a constant throughout the match. Was there were just 1 or 2 targets or things on each stage that were
the implements are not
calibrated and
just not working properly.
And I've told you before, like if you shoot a steel target and it wiggles, just shoot it again. Like it's not USPSA; they're not going to stop and calibrate the target. And like usually calibrations don't go our way anyway, so just drive it over. So we had to be a little more deliberate and conservative with our shooting because of that. And then it bit me again on the all shotgun stage, but they had
spinners.
Yeah, that was kind of the theme for the weekend was they had 1 or 2 targets that are fun to shoot. Rifle spinners or spinners are fun to shoot. Dueling trees are fun to shoot, but they can be a subjective target because of caliber hit.
The dueling tree was an issue when staff was shooting.
Yeah.
We saw them going out there trying to fix and adjust and make sure it was working right. So it was an issue all weekend with everybody, really.
And I know the staff was jumping through the hoops to accommodate us, and they were doing their best, but it seemed like a good chunk of the staff were range personnel and not club members, or if they were club members, they were newer shooters. So everybody was very polite.
Yeah.
We didn't have any,
That was real nice that everyone was polite. Usually you get that 1 or 2 RSOs that
are grumpy just old guys.
Yes, not very, very fun to be around. What else with and they all had the reflective vests, which are
the RSO vest.
Yes,
I actually like that.
Yes.
That was one of the things we noted was all of the ROs on the stages wore a bright range vest that said RSO, so everybody knew who was in charge, and I appreciate that. Knowing who's in charge, and they would tell you this is how we're going to do things, and we're going to clear guns, and
And they read the brief from the paper, which is always helpful.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Because sometimes people don't word things as clear as others, or their interpretation and how they deliver isn't the same. So that was very helpful that they just read from the paper that we were reading from.
And it was definitely a rough match as far as, reviewing my footage. There was a few things that I noted that on that all shotgun stage where I was a little butthurt because I had to put extra shots on a spinner. And it took a considerable amount of time. And I couldn't figure out how. I knew that I was sloppy on my shotgun stage. I had definitely more shots than I would like through the entirety of the stage. Didn't hurt me that bad, but extra shots always add time, obviously. but I couldn't figure, with the additional time of the extra shots, it just felt way too slow. So I was reviewing the video, trying to see where I lost time. And I think I found it was as I was clearing the gun, as I finished the stage, I see the RO show the shot timer, and it shows last shot fired. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, as I'm clearing my gun,
it picked up.
He grabbed my magazine off the ground to hand it to me with the shot timer in his hand. Mm. And I think that's where the extra time comes, which I'm not worried about the stage time. It wasn't great, but just things like that where, you know, I'm not going to say I got +2 because it would have been +13 anyway, but just little things like that where, okay, the RO meant well and was a nice kid, but
it's just probably the inexperience. But I know some people, I mean, some places can't be super picky with who they're getting as their volunteers and all the helpful people. And some people are newer than others, but I think they did a pretty good job, and they're nice for the most part. And they did seem to have a handle on things. There wasn't anything chaotic or confusing. Couple things that I didn't really enjoy, like coaching on a non-coaching match.
Well, that was the thing, as we get
inconsistencies.
As we checked in for the morning brief, the match director said very clearly that this was a no coaching match. This is a major match. And we know, hey, we can talk to each other before and after the stage. We can game plan and do all we want. But if you run by a target, like I just have to sit there and watch you do it, you know, there's no coughing or sneezing or wheezing or any of that stuff. Yeah. And, you know, if somebody's struggling at some point through the stage, as we all want to help that person, you know, especially when I'm ROing, you know, if you see somebody struggling, like I'm the first person watching them, you want to help them. But then you realize, if I do this on the clock, it's going to change the outcome of this competition.
Right.
And we saw shooters that had malfunctions with their equipment were given reshoots.
Yeah.
Which is, I've never seen anything like that in my life, actually. And I think that was the inexperienced ROs and staff in those particular cases. Because, like I said, my buddy Ray, shout out Ray, good to see you, buddy, ran a stage. You know, it was a big stage. It was actually a really fun stage. It was fun for me. The bank heist.
Oh, with the bag?
With the bag.
Reload shotgun, denied.
Yeah,
reload
denied.
Shotgun, denied. Rounds going everywhere.
No, but you know, it was a good stage for both of us. But they had a bank heist stage, like the movie. I don't remember the name of it, but the famous bank heist movie where the gunfight in the streets, and I'll forget the name.
Isn't it like some presidents or something? Is that
no? I think it's called Heist.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, what you start in the back of a car. You get out, you pull your bag of money, your duffel bag, you grab your rifle, and you start it's a pretty big hoser rifle portion, and then climb up onto the roof, the hood of a van on a ramp, and shoot a plate rack, jump off of that. And they were nice enough where, like walking up a ramp, there's always times where, because we're walking it cold, you're tiptoeing and you're like, oh, this isn't going to be pleasant. And Ray was like, hey, if you're having trouble or you're worried about maintaining control of your firearm and breaking your knees at the same time, you can safe your gun, hand it to me as you waddle off the ramp, and then I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah.
And I thought about making him do that for me. But when it came time on the clock, I just hopped off, and, you know, I'll probably feel it later. But as we're going through, that was a nice thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, you finish the rifle speed shoot by shooting through a bunch of different barricades on some VTAC barricades, dump your bag into the drop box, pull your shotgun, and finish out. And that stage was a long flowing stage. I think, you know, that was probably one of the longest, was second longest stage of the match, just by natural design of the stage.
I felt very awkward on that stage.
Because you're running a big loop.
It's just not my rifle. I kept switching shoulders for no apparent reason, apparently. I don't know, because I was so concerned about flagging. I think we saw 2 people DQ'd.
There was a lot of DQs at the match for breaking 180. And you know, on that one in particular, being that you're running around the corner, stepping off the ramp, going around the front of the van.
Yeah, I was over the top worried. So it was just kind of, but it just felt really awkward.
Yeah.
It was long. It was a long stage.
And so with all of that, like, you know, before we even shot it, I'm complaining to Ray that, you know, I got to get out of the seat. I hate getting out of vehicles. My prosthetic, I don't know if you know this, but the foot does not move. I can't make it move. So if your toe is hooked under the back seat of a car and you go to angle out, like I have to physically grab my leg and unhook it. And so my complaint is I'm going to spend 90 seconds getting out of the car. Well, then when the timer went off, I was probably out in like a second. It wasn't very slow at all.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. And I even smacked my head a few times trying to get out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be interesting for the bigger people. Like, this is not okay. And they had that big bank bag just oscillating when I was on the VTAC, like just watching everything. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I should have dropped the bag. I was getting so frustrated and just like kept going afterwards. But
fun little stage.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
And
a little long.
Anyway, the point being, like, Ray handled that stage, you know, was very polite and talking people through it, you know, and so you have different things where then we go to the next stage, another longer stage.
Is that the
mini rooftop, the dueling tree stage.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And it was not a good one for Tina.
It was a terrible one for me.
But it was just a very long stage where you had about a 80-yard run down the bay in a 200-ish yard bay, maybe a little shorter. So just a long reset, long process stage. And I think that stage was one where the RO was one of the range staff, was doing his best to make calls and called things consistently. Either the plate went around or didn't.
Right.
And, you know, it's always frustrating when we're on the clock and we're shooting and, like, hey, we're smacking, you know, watching Brian, for example, like center punch a plate with 77s and it swings around and comes right back. Swings around and comes right back. And they're like, you're hitting the splash guard.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. And
they gave him a reshoot.
Yeah. And so that was one of those touchy targets and, you know, subjective targets in a stage, but long, it was a very high skill stage all the way through. They had a Polish plate rack for pistol. It was about 16 yards away with smaller plates on it. That one was, you know, novel target. Shooting off a rooftop at a KYL plate rack with a little plate on it. I don't even remember how big that small plate was. In the middle of a bunch of sporadic shooting. And then they had I think one of the coolest targets of the stage of the match was a single popper that you shot with shotgun, and it threw 3 toasters at once. And I think the left one went up about maybe 16 or 18 feet, and the 2 on the right went up like 12 or 14 feet. So you had to shoot the 2 to the right they're fast. And normally at a match, you have the option of doing a conservative thing, shooting 1 popper or 1 toaster, 1 popper, 1 toaster, and then Dylan or somebody would be like, "Oh, let's launch all 3." You know, they no balls you. And this one, they're like, "Nope, you're going to get 3 in the air." So everybody's just like, "Oh, I missed Clay's. Okay, oh no." But I thought it was a fun stage.
I hated it.
And you were given an option of a reshoot?
Yeah, because the tree wasn't doing what it was supposed to, and I didn't take it. Didn't take the reshoot.
Didn't take the reshoot. And had a moment of...
Ate all of the penalties and then some. Got a little tears.
You could have had a better stage performance, but you said, "Hey, I did this. This is what I earned."
Yeah, because I talked to the match director and I told him, I was like, "Hey, if after he gave me the option of the reshoot, I kind of stepped back a little bit and I was like, well, I'm going to end up gaming it at this point. Like my whole stage plan is going to be completely different to game it, and I didn't want to be that dirty shooter, like just to try and get good points and like."
Yeah, if we got a practice run on every stage, we'd do great.
We do a lot better. And I just didn't want that because I know how that Phil's Nationals last year. When people just shortcut stuff to get a quicker time, or they just game it to game it. And it didn't feel good then last year, and I didn't want to take anything from
2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. Sorry. I didn't want to take anything from another shooter because the gals were all lumped together, which was cool because I never get that opportunity to shoot with just the ladies in the entire match and not like just my division, open division. So I'd pass that up. It hurt. It hurt in the moment, but it was for it'd be wrong if I chose that option because I'd end up gaming it just to cut some time off.
Well, let's talk about the ladies division, because this has been something that, as far as I've seen, like in recent years, I've started paying attention to the ladies categories because we're shooting together. Mm-hmm. But before that, doesn't affect me. I'm not.
Yeah.
But I know in the past at other matches, female participation, especially at the major matches, is not that high. Mm-hmm. So when you go to a major match and they have category awards and a prize table, trophies, different types of things, it's always been a hard thing to do with how do you have all the ladies compete together or against each other. And the first being, if Tina and I were shooting open, if you're competing directly against me as an open shooter and your percentages are based off my score, and I happen to be on fire that day. That's
how it always is.
And then another lady's in World War II single arm division, and the division winner of that, it's his first match. Well, whoever's competing against that has an opportunity at a better percentage, right? So it really depends on who's in your division at the top, setting the average for the stage, right?
Right.
And instead of why are the ladies competing against my score? Why not have them compete against each other's score? So what I do like is they just straight up put you guys against each other. So your scores, like if you were the fastest lady on the stage, that's the stage win, and that's what the percentages were based off of. So I appreciate that.
That was really nice. Yeah. And they got to, like, the tube gunners got the full capacity. Yeah,
and that was the only thing that might have been a little tough was there was a bunch of open ladies.
No, it was just me and Kristen.
A couple of either way, but they went to the other ladies that I believe were all shooting modified.
Yeah, he went to each individual shooter.
And they asked if they could combine them together.
Yes.
Gave them the option, hey, you can run full open gear, fully load out, do everything else. And they all agreed. And so at least you guys are competing on a kind of a same same standard. Obviously, if you had 35 ladies shooting box guns, it's going to be a little different, right? So,
and with that, from when I started, a year ago? Was it a year ago I've been doing? So this is year 2? Or is this
on what? On the box gun?
Just shooting all together in competitive shooting.
2 years now.
2 years now. My timing is terrible. So I've already seen an influx of women starting to compete in either major matches or just the local matches. And it's really cool to see all these gals, but which is even better now is, I guess, these match directors are seeing that. So they're giving the option, are giving more than just the high lady, like Rocky Mountain did each division for high lady.
They did multiple places down there, like a podium for that division.
Right. And then Vortex also did it now too. They gave top 3. And then this match. So it's pretty cool that it's not just, they're starting to give these options out instead of just that one award. Because like I said, I'm competing against this guy's score, and let's be real, like I'm maybe 50%.
Yeah, and it's nice to know where you're at for placing, right?
Yeah, and it's nice to know where I'm at with the ladies. So
that's one of the things that we've talked, you and I have talked about a lot, because I do match direct a bunch of events. So you see where I expressed to you, like, if you have an issue, address it. Mm-hmm. And you addressing it directly to me as the match director, that's a good way to do it. Putting it on paper with the after action questionnaire is a good one. And, it's nice to have these matches across the country that are starting to pay attention to, like, hey, we're not necessarily doing something additional for the ladies. We're doing the bare minimum. Like, we're acknowledging the women. We're, hey, if you're the only lady in the division, like, sorry, like, no, or like, they're paying customers. They're like, and you shouldn't be penalized because there's only 3 ladies at a match, like. I
mean, touching on that too with Ray's stage with the barricade, they had pre-designated ports you had to shoot out of, and then one of them was too tall for me, and
it was the top top angled port on a VTEC barricade. Yes. So unless you're an average height man.
Yeah, and he addressed it early, like during his brief, and that this will be the port that you will go through if you cannot reach this one. Which was super relieving because at Sons of Liberty I didn't get that option, the rifle match.
Oh, so you're like trying to shoot through your tippy toes.
I couldn't even. I was trying to use my offset. I was on my tippy toes. I had to switch shoulders and then stand on the beam, take a shot, slide down, get back up, take a shot, slide down. And this was all going from, my left shoulder. So it was really nice that option was even there. But I also kind of feel that, if not everybody can, if it's something that you don't think everyone can do, then just don't really put it in there, like I guess body type wise. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, we're not putting a ladies' tee in as far as like, oh well, ladies, you can you get extra time on the clock.
Right.
No, right. But hey, if you're having trouble seeing over this 6-foot wall, you can step on this box.
Right.
Okay. Right. Yeah. It's a required thing, and you're good at pointing those things out where you're tiny at an event and like, hey, shooting this target, there's a barrel or a barricade in the way. I need to step up or do whatever. And like, you want me to just fire it Afghan style, just blind fire? That's not safe, right? Yeah. And so to shoot this in a safe manner, I might have to step, barricades, not barricades, but fences and walls, and a lot of the lean positions that we see all the time are usually built for somebody of my ability and my stature. And so when I lean around a barricade, things are there. And when Tina leans around, we watch on video where she's like leaning around as far as she can, and can still barely see it. And, we've had people say, well, look, she shot the side of the fence. It's like, well, she's got arms that are this long. Like, what do you was she going to step out of the shooting area? And, so it's nice to see that they're, making adaptions for those things. But what else do we have? My other big complaint for the event was scores. So when we get home from it, usually my quota or my metric for a match is how fast are they updating scores? You come off a stage, they tell you your time, they let you hit approve. I think we saw the tablet maybe 20% of the time. I don't remember hitting approve or seeing a lot. I wasn't actively thinking about it, but I don't remember people being like, here's your time.
I think I hit approve once, and that was stage 1 of the day. Well, what did we start on, 4 or something like that?
Yeah, and so we always try and keep notes of where we're at. It's good housekeeping. But 2, when we get done at the end of the day, we want to see where we're at, and we want to see how we did on those scores, and we know they're still subject to change as other shooters go through, but it gives you still a good visualization of where you're at. Mm-hmm. And they didn't post any scores until
after the awards.
After the awards, we didn't see scores. So that was a little frustrating, and I don't know if there was some issue with tablets or something, but that was my only other complaint. But, that was my only other complaint with the match. But no, I thought the stages were fun.
They're fun. They're base stages too. So getting used to base stages is a little different than how out here I'm so used to the jungle runs and natural terrain, which I absolutely love.
Which are still difficult.
Yeah, they're difficult, but I love them so much more than them.
But everything's really fat. Like when you're in a bay, and they have to hide things, and they have to get way more creative so that stages become much more technical. Yeah. Oh, the other complaint, and it's not necessarily a complaint because I didn't like it, but it was because I didn't like it, was they had one particular stage with a door breach with a shotgun.
Oh, yeah, that crazy.
Which I don't mind a door breach. That's always fun.
Yeah, but it was just...
But they had a mixed slug, a load plan of buckshot, slug, and bird, all in a really close proximity. And I talked with the staff about this one. Only reason I don't like it on a box gun is it gives you zero margin for error if you candy cane, which candy caning in a box gun is super dangerous. But it's very high risk because we're more prone to malfunctions. If you have a malfunction, do I have a spare buckshot and slug mag? So if you need to fix the stage, and then just from a match keeping or match point, once I'm done with slugs, like if I'm going to shoot a paper target with a slug, and then there's a bunch of knockover steel afterwards, shooting a steel target with a slug at 7 yards is super dangerous.
Usually,
excuse me.
Usually that's I thought a DQ if you did that, and then if you shoot a slug at the wrong target. But then this one at the match was really weird. So they not only made it super sketchy, complicated, but then it was a $20 fee and
if you damage steel, you're going to pay the fee.
But and then you just get like a 20-second add-on or something like that. So it wasn't. So if you shot the wrong target with a...
I'm pretty sure it would have been a DQ if somebody slugged a target. But I think whatever Band-Aid answer we got right there was like, oh, it's no harm, no foul. No, it's a harm. It's a foul.
Yeah, I think he went through that. What are we doing? What are you shooting? What's your order? Probably like the whole time. We weren't even on that stage yet. We're already repeating it.
So we spent a bunch of time talking about lining up our shots, and some people were like, oh, turn your gun sideways and just look straight down the barral. And I'm like, we use dots. We have an offset.
Walking up to it.
People were putting their barrel right up and missing. And that's always fun. They should have put a trail cam on the door just to watch how many extra shots everybody has.
I think there was someone with like 8.
I took 2 shots at it, and that's okay. And I knew that like it wasn't a complete miss. Like I just didn't punch all the way through it. And then so I saw where I was on the stick and then just held a little higher to cut the other half of the stick. And then Tina has to come through and center punch it like a badass. And then rolled through the rest of that stage.
And then missed my box.
Yep. Yeah, you missed. Well, you didn't miss.
I missed the paper plate. They had a paper plate and you needed 5.
Yeah, a pie plate and 5 of your 9 pellets had to be on that. And
yeah.
I think your group was just off the edge of the paper plate. Which, I mean, it's not like you really aimed at it either. Like we hit a popper.
It was quick.
It pulled a paper target up that disappeared. So you had a very limited exposure. And by the time I think on that one you were just like, okay, I got it.
By the time I get my recoil back from being rocked, and it's like, oh, okay, then it's like, I got to send it, go. Absolutely
We're gonna have you start wearing a vest or like a sand vest or a backpack with some weights in it for recoil management.
But other than that, I mean, like, staff was great. They did have chow, but we didn't really get to eat. We didn't have time.
Jeremy was out there from Red's Barbecue.
Potatoes.
So Jeremy pulls a trailer across the country, does a bunch of food all the time at different matches. He was out there. We're super excited to see him. We did not get to stop for lunch on the range, but they did have meals out there. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a pretty fun event. I got a little sunburn on the forehead.
We always get sunburned.
And you walked away with a high lady.
Yes.
I took third and open.
Yes.
We got some pretty sweet gear. I managed to pull a Sanchico suppressor off the table, which was really nice. Thank you, Sanchico. Mm-hmm. And you got a Kel-Tec.
I don't know the model.
It's one of the new space guns. It's like a 31 round, 22 caliber blaster. Pretty cool pistol. Thank you, Kel-Tec, for sponsoring the match.
I'll be emailing for that.
Man, lots of fun.
It was fun. It flowed well. Staff was super friendly. It was a well thought out match, I think. It just little things were missed, but I guess with the next year coming up, they'll start figuring it out, and it'll get better from there. It wasn't terrible. It was good.
But to shoot a match in January.
And I got to wear shorts. I got to wear shorts. That's it. That's our Warno.
That's a pretty good one. So other than that, anything you want to add for Florida?
No, it was good to see Kristen again. Hi.
And we'll probably be back. Hopefully you guys post scores a little sooner and calibrate your steel, but we had fun.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. If you guys have any questions about any of our other matches, upcoming matches, anything you'd like to hear us talk about, let us know. Thanks for putting up with my voice.
Yeah.
It might be back.
Yeah.
Might be gone for good, but we'll see you on the next one.
Okay, bye.